is honestly just a pinball machine of bops and bashes and a little bit of a laser thrown in there for fun. But for the J team side, it's a pretty respectable amount of damage and some solid counter engage, good team fighting. Who do you like? I mean, nameplate's off because I feel like this is so hard to call.
Yeah, it is really, really hard to call, but overall, I feel like Frank Esports' composition does have a little bit more to offer. You've got the CC, right? That's kind of the one thing that J team don't quite have. They're going to be heavily reliant on Gravitum coming in from Affiliates or the ultimate coming in from Renata. It has to be a big hostile takeover almost every single time.
We have seen some big ones, and they are very game-changing, but you have to keep in mind, on the opposite side, there is that Curse of the Sad Mummy. Lock people up for the big plays. Team fighting, though, J-Team definitely seem to be more focused on that. When you have a Jax in this, I feel like you kind of put yourself into that 4-1 a lot more, even though Jax has been able to turn the tables on some fights.
Yeah, and when it comes to the early game, again, more so eyes onto this Poppy pick. She needs to find some things early on to get things rolling, but there are a lot of lanes to gank, though, which is the nice part. You don't pick Poppy when you have losing lanes. That is the worst situation. You pick Poppy to snowball off of lanes that can already snowball pretty hard themselves, and that's exactly the case we have here in this game, because if you get Jax a couple kills, he just runs out of control. And in this bot lane, like Kalista, we know how Kalista can snowball very hard, and the Moo pick, of course, melee support. If he gets ahead, he can just kind of jump in nonstop.
Yeah, we'll definitely keep an eye on that Poppy of Holos. It's actually his first Poppy in his career as a jungler, if you can believe it. Had to scroll back through a couple years worth of stats just to check that one out, and I don't believe he's played this champion before. So, first time for everything.
Yeah, and YSCam, he has been the name of the week number 1, besides, of course, Gory. So all eyes on him to see how well he does. This is a much different team this time around that he's playing up against. He did have a game against Rest that he wasn't able to find a whole lot of impact, but I think that was more so, you know, CFO. Rest is one of those top laners that's very hard to take advantage of.
Yeah, I think Rest is not immune to making mistakes, right? But it's a little bit different and not as high impact. I think Driver, you know, opting into the Gwen matchup that we have seen lose in the 1v1. Well, I do feel like YSCam could have a big opening here, and let's see if Frank Esports can work with it. They do get a bit of a roam invade into blue. I don't think... Yeah, there we go. Now they see Kongye, who is going to be zoned off for just a second, just a delay. Not really doing much else as they've already pushed the wave. It does give Holo information, though.
Yeah, it also means that he can just instantly bop that Crab and turn his attention towards top Crab, where he does have top lane priority. So this is a great start for the Poppy. Also a great start for the Jax, because you know that you're not under threat. You can easily crash this wave up into the top side, get your recall off, walk all the way back, and you're just in a really nice spot. So Frank Esports, actually, Hollow's going to go towards the Krugs instead of that top Crab, because he does want to be here in the event that he sees the Viego try and force a gank bot lane.
Yeah. Doesn't need to, as Kongye will be backing off, but, you know, feels good for Frank to kick things off. Building the small advantages. Pretender actually finding some early damage on Uniboy. I think Pretender's somebody that we were really excited about coming into Spring Split, but we haven't talked about him much in summer. And
it's been YSKM and Eminem. That's why.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like he's not excited compared to everybody else on the team, but that doesn't mean he's not exciting. There's a lot to like on this Frank lineup.
Yeah, and one of the issues has been in that CFO game, he did get kind of bodied in lane. So I do like the fact that they drafted a strong laning champion for him, because it hasn't been an issue for him in team fights or finding angles to start team fights. It's been the other things. And now YSKM, he knows this matchup, and he knows that Gwen just doesn't ever win. So again, like Driver, he probably also picked this matchup because he knows as well. but he wants to have a little bit more team fight impact. But as it stands, 5 minutes into the game, there's no team fights happening yet.
No, and this Jax is already starting to get a very, very healthy lead. Driver teleports back to lane, obviously, you know, has the timer on YSKM there, but still finding himself a little behind. And this is honestly, if you're the Jax player in the situation, it feels really, really good. And that's going to be at least one losing lane. The question is, what else can you get done on the map? I think Kongye, pressure's going to be on him a little bit once 6 dings to try and make something happen.
Yeah. Here. And how does Poppy get a double crab? That is my question, right? Because Kongye, he could have just gone for that top crab, but with his lanes as is, he just couldn't actually make his way over. And Hollow actually, on this Poppy, which isn't known for speed clearing, snags himself a double crab. So that feels really, really nice, because usually the Poppy has to get really far ahead through ganks, gank pressure. But so far, you know, still behind in the XP, sure, but keeping up in the gold is really, really nice.
Yeah, and they've actually managed to get a catch onto Enzo. It's not going to take very, very long, though, as Hollow gets rooted down to the ground, denied for just a second by Lil V. Good gun swap. All the same. Everywhere on the map, things are at the very least even for Frank Esports. Kongye. Oh, no, there's a flash forward. They find another stun. Enzo taken low and taken to the wall. Not down for first blood yet. There they go. The bailout is not enough. His Rebirth chased down by Kongye.
And they turn. That's the question.
Absorbs his essence, and it's become a 2v2, and they will back away. So supports traded on the map. Flashes burnt on both sides as well. Excuse me, Ignite for Flash, I should say.
Yeah, both supports
and a Flash by Rebirth
do die, and it's both junglers to get the kills as well. So I would say the trade is a little bit more in favor for J-Team because of where that gold went. But in the early game, Poppy, definitely nothing to scoff at. And Frank Esports, right now, 400 gold lead. And while this Kalista isn't going to have a good time into the Philios later on into the game, still provides a lot of utility. And by the time that, you know, you would say the Kalista's impact sort of fades, the Jax is going to be online. So we get to see the replay, a lot of damage poured into Enzo, and they just really try and draw and bait this fight, but Enzo's just way too low. That's why when he gets caught out here, yes, he's buying time with his bailout, but he still ends up dying because they just aren't able to return damage fast enough.
Ooh, and Eminem just lines up the shot perfectly to get that extra spear in there. As Rebirth does die through it all, so, you know, that's... as you mentioned, a little back for Kongye, but really just so much value out of the bandage toss. I suppose that's one way to answer the handshake. As Rebirth goes a roaming into mid lane right now.
Yeah, just making sure it gets a comfortable back here, reset the wave, and now turn their attention over to this dragon. So we'll see if one of these teams want to force a dragon take here. I think it would be a little bit optimistic. But Hollow is level 6, so he now has access to the hammer.
Oh yeah, he can just knock somebody right out as he flashes over. That was a Hex Flash. Man, that's an interesting bit of tech.
Going for the Ultra Aggression. Rebirth and Kongye. Bit of a staring contest, even though they don't necessarily know that they're staring at each other, but... yeah, so this Poppy pick will be able to give value later on, too, because you think the one big target here is, oh, man, what if we overcommit and then the Philios just gets to destroy us? Well, you can just knock them out.
Collapse on the flank. They get the double stun right now. Kongye trying to get the collapse on, but this is 3v3, 3v4, I should say, and they're pretty happy about that one, even through the bailout. Enzo goes down. Talk about optimism. J-Team didn't wait until Uniboy was with them to start the fight.
Well, actually, they did. But the problem was Hollow just bopped them out with the Justice Hammer. Knocked them away.
Excuse me. Sorry, I blinked and missed it. My bad, Nightstar. But yeah, that's the numbers. You gotta be careful with
it. Yeah, exactly. He shows up and he's gone. And
you gotta reset at that point.
Uniboy just doesn't even get a say at that point. So he's just like, well, I tried, guys. And we're gonna see the replay. And it's just off screen, right? He just shows into the screen and he's gone. Bye-bye.
Yep.
And afterwards, like, there's just nothing left. Like, you need the initiation power coming in from a Silas. Yes, Lil V has a lot of chakrams going on, but he's got no front line to stand in front of him to do damage.
Speaking of front line, Enzo trying to absorb. Curse of the Sad Mummy. That is going to be another Renata taking the picture. What? Away, actually. That's the bailout. They didn't pull the red stacks out. Enzo gets the kill onto Eminem, and oh boy, do not play with your food too long. It might bite back.
Oh, I think it's just Frank Esports overstaying there. They didn't get the reset. I assume they didn't get the reset because of how low their mana bars are. That fight wasn't as clean as they would have liked. But we should just have kind of a return to, all right, everyone gets their reset, everyone gets their items, and now it's time to Dragon Dance again. Yeah, we see Rebirth has a lot of mana, Eminem does not. So trade happens, Rebirth goes back in, knowing Hollow's there. And this is, wow, this is a lot of damage coming through, but he Ren's there, so he doesn't have the Ren for Enzo. And even though he has a lot of damage, no cooldown, and probably might have also been a mana issue as well. So it could have been twofold for that brief instance. But because we didn't get to see the rend earlier, it does look a little bit funky.
Yeah, there we go. So Eminem just slightly off, and Enzo able to heal up a little bit through all of that on the refillable. Does find a kill back for himself on the Renata, and now we're right back to the Dragon. It's going to get secured.
Does have Callisto
and now
ultimate.
The chase is on. Flash out from Rebirth. Oof.
Yeah, maybe not close enough to for Eminem to ult him out, or maybe they just wanted to hold on to it because if you look at the summoners, he has his Hex Flash, so he's still able to make some plays when it comes to the lane phase. And since we're still kind of stuck in the lane phase, it's almost actually better for him to lose the Flash there, right? Because you can just keep play making it. YSKM, he gets himself a blue buff. Yes, it hasn't been an impressive lane that we saw when he played this matchup against ICU, but we are going to slowly see him just accrue larger and larger advantages.
Yeah, he's got to play the Rune King on that back as well, so comes in a lane, that blue buff. Gonna be able to zone Driver away for the time being. We are starting to see the Mythics come through. Kongye gets the Divine Sunderer for himself, as Holo starts up in full vision on this Rift Herald.
But he has a support.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is like, even if you see it, you can't necessarily stop it. Good support system, Frank Esports. Now Kongye going to try to contest, or at least sniff for this. They've got Driver as well. We could be in for a big old objective fight.
Yeah, but it'd be 45 right now.
And the Curse of the Sad Mummy looking to delete Uniboy off the map. He flashes away. That's a hostile takeover. Driver's in the mix now. Gwen might be immune, but not when people are right in her face. It's going to be Rebirth going down as the first casualty. Driver will finally fall. YSKM follows as well. That's a double kill. Lil V getting two right off the bat. And Kongye going in for the Heartbreaker to take down Eminem. And that's 3 quick kills in exchange for Driver. Will Pretender be able to find an answer there? I don't think so. Lil V, we can't hop that wall, but it doesn't matter.
Bold pathing choice coming in from Lil V. And if he goes down, maybe the side of Frank Esports are able to stop that Rift Herald, but Rift Herald still goes into... Oh, it actually went into the hands of Hollow. Wait a second. I didn't notice it.
Yeah, let's take a look at how the fight... I think he finished it off in the chaos, but...
Yeah, I think he just ignored.
This was funky.
A little bit interesting. We see the engage onto Uniboy, but Uniboy...
So close.
You know, that's the durability patch difference right there. And then Rebirth goes in. He tries to go and make a follow-up play, but that's always the danger of trying to re-engage when you're low HP against a Viego composition, because the Viego gets that reset and off to the races he goes.
And I think critically, right, like one of the reasons we see that Gwen being prioritied for J-Team, even in a losing 1v1, is just right there. You force everyone to get right up close and personal to deal damage because Gwen is immune at a distance. So everybody gets close. They have to invest pretty heavily into taking down Driver, and then it kind of just lines up the shot. Uniboy getting away is also kind of the icing on the cake for J-Team. Yeah, they lose out on the Herald, but they get a really good turn on the fight. they get a decent bit of gold advantage, and look where it falls. It's in the Viego's pocket, it's into the Aphelios pocket that buys the Gale Force now, so all of a sudden you're ahead on 2 of your most valuable carries.
Yeah. However, at the same time, for Frank Esports, it is 2 kills onto the Victor, so he is accelerated in that regard. Is going to be able to get those upgrades just a little bit faster, and the Victor is the one carry that they can't really touch on the side of J-Team, so that will be problematic for them to deal with. It's just a matter of making sure that they are able to land some CC, but that's another issue. They don't have like reliable CC to land onto a target like a Victor if he wants to play safe. Well, no one's going to force him out of position.
Yeah, and I think this is one of the reasons why Pretender opts for this champion, right? And I think we've seen it from him a decent bit in this spring split. If I remember correctly, like this was one of the champions that had a fairly high success rate. Maybe not. I think he only had like maybe 1 win on it, but doesn't matter. It's been up pretty well right now, and I think for Frank Esports, despite the gold deficit, there are things we like to see maybe just a couple inches away from getting those kills, a little bit of misplays. We don't normally see Eminem with a negative score, but like both those plays kind of inches away from becoming positive, you know?
Yeah. Very, very small margins. And if they were able to get that Silas out, also would have made a difference. It would have evened out the gold, and they might have considered trying to return on that fight and get more out of it. But like, whoa, doesn't change the fact that YSKM is just a behemoth. Right?
He's doing Jax things at this point. Yeah, he's got a
like
big
Driver
old
has the Riftmaker now completed, also has the steel cap boots. But because you go for steel caps, it means that there's a faster spike coming in from the Jax, being able to snag that Blade Room King. And because they got the first tower, or the first dragon, they don't have to invest themselves onto the second one. So they just turn their attention on trying to continue to snowball YSKM.
And YSKM is just focusing the tower right now. It turns into a 2v2 with Shelly in the mix, and you're out of there!
That's a home run.
Yep. At least a double. Watching Poppy is fun. I miss that, man.
Poppy's definitely...
That's a great champion.
Incredibly fun. Definitely a remake that felt good.
Yes. Her old ult was, how do I put this? Scuffed?
It was fun in a different way.
I mean, if your name was like Vizichachi or something, that was back in the day that I was casting him in LEC.
Well, it was fun for the Poppy player, maybe not for whoever she ulted.
Yes, that's very true. It's kind of like playing against the Tryndamere.
Exactly. But so
that's
far, like, all things considered, Pyra, like, it's only a 500 gold difference.
No, this is good for Frank. Like,
yeah,
this does not feel bad.
We talked about coming into this game. If J-Team just absolutely body Frank Esports, that's kind of a litmus test of saying, like, Frank Esports are good, but not an upper team, because J-Team body everyone that's not an upper team. So, given that they have dragged this out, you know, relatively quiet game, bodes well. Very well.
Oh yeah, and the fact that they have late game in many parts in their favor, right? I mean, like, yes, the bottom lane is not going to be nearly as effective. Eminem, who has traditionally been one of the big carries for this team, is not only behind, but isn't going to be favored up against the Aphelios the late game. But you have a Victor and you have a Jax. Those are two extremely difficult to deal with champions at the late stages of the game. I think Holo is making this Poppy work for him well in the first time. And yeah, I think Frank have clearly latched onto a win condition that's going to involve the upper half of the map, and that's okay. For J-Team, you know, they're looking to try and out team fight. They're looking to use Lil V to their advantage. They're looking to have Driver get in the mix when YSKM can't follow through as well. But if Frank Esports play well around the map, playing 4-1 is not easy, but you can deny a lot, as Holo denies Kongye the jump in, but this is going to be the start of the Rift Herald. Let's see how Frank Esports reacts.
Those look like they're kind of fishing around here, but I don't think they'll look to contest because of their break points, although now they're making a late contest.
Ah, there's the wind up. Herald's going to reset. This is just the pullback for J-Team. So, I mean, really not a whole lot burned, and again, he just denied Konge the jump in multiple times. Uniboy steals away the Curse of the Sun Mummy. That's pretty impactful.
Yeah, everyone
right?
bit on the edge
Tense.
of their seats for that moment, and now the team fight feels all the more real because one of the other changes for Poppy is that when you hold onto the ultimate, it will reset. Although now we hit 20 minutes, so the Rift Herald fight isn't going to be there anymore. It's going to be a Baron fight.
Yeah,
Wise Cam just doesn't care. He doesn't care.
Yeah, no, he doesn't.
Oh my god, look at how much damage.
Needlework from
now
Driver,
he's
but
in
here
trouble.
comes Hollow around the side. And they're just going to be able to pinball down. That's a lot of damage
healing.
being dealt, but even with the going golden on the stopwatch, it's not going to matter. That's going to be the kill.
Yeah, Hollow plays that perfectly, where he tanks it up, makes sure that YSCam can go ahead and get the final blow without coming under threat of dying to tower. So that's YSCam on the board on the Jax, and the moment that happens, that's when things get pretty crazy. It's a 2k gold difference in the top laners right there. And even though the 80 carry, there is a bit of a gap, a BF sword gap. A BF sword gap isn't the same as a 2k gold gap because that's still plus 700 difference. And Pretender holding his own against Uniboy does opt into the Morello Nomcom, which is definitely an interesting purchase. I don't think it's bad to get Grievous Wounds, but of course Grievous Wounds did get nerfed. So I don't know about upgrading the Grievous Wounds. So we'll see. As again, like, he's one of the big win conditions. You really need the damage, but now maybe a collapse onto YSKM, but I almost feel like he probably 1v2.
Yeah, I'm about to say, like, I don't know if you're feeling that one, Konge. Really good job by Frank Esports. They were able to keep a lot of waves clear. It opens up opportunities for them to make moves like this to try and collapse around the map. Something you can do with the Victor and a Jax. Scam. Uh-oh, he gets jumped on right now, and he's going to buy a little bit of time with the stopwatch of his own as he does YOLO a little bit into this one, and the Renata Blast ultimate is going to keep this team going against itself as the shutdown comes in. Finally, they run out of steam on the Frank Esports side. And this is Konge with the pop-off. They got one, they got two. They're going to get even more from this one as everyone but Pretender gets cleaned up. And yeah, he hits him with the what-face crab. I don't think he even really realized what just happened.
Oh, lordy. Oh, Pretender.
This is huge.
1v5.
He's trying, but that still might be Baron. As he gets some power siphoning on, Konge could get taken off the map here, but he goes too deep. He runs a risk of being baited. Driver is going to take this dragon, but yeah, solo Pretender managed to stop the take. Pretender takes it away. Are you kidding me?
He stops the Baron and he takes away the dragon. He might end up dying. But I
don't know
who
about that.
cares? Who cares? In fact, he gets more. He forces the teleport. Like, this is as 1v9 as it got right there in the last 30 seconds.
Just saved that play. YSKM, it looks like he's baiting the team. They're not in for it. Yeah, he fully recommits to lifestyle. Just sends it entirely. And he tries to get away at the last second. Shut down. Things get really bad here for Frank Esports. And
because
they
have
Jax
massively. Now you have a Jax stun. He jumps in. The Jax.
But Pretender, we don't even get to watch what he just does. All right, I can't believe that.
All right,
this is
now
1v3.
it's time.
Yeah, all right. Silenced on 1v3. I don't think he's going to be able to last very long. But what are Frank going to get for it? They're on the Baron right now. And the peel.
Yeah, not quite enough time. And the key thing is they don't know that the Gwen used teleport. So in their minds, they're thinking the Gwen is going to just TP in, and then it's a 3v4. Yes, we have a numbers advantage, but things can go south still. So I think that's the reason why they opted to pull off of it, because there just wasn't enough damage thrown down.
Yeah, so it feels like Frank are falling a little bit into their gun-shy habits here. I mean, you know, lack of information is one thing, but you know, they don't commit to the Baron. I was wondering if maybe YSKM is just like, you know, trying to bait out the three-man dive, but they don't get anything for it. And it seems like J-Team have found a way to stop the side lanes from pushing in on them. And we get back to a bit of a reset here. It's a 3,000 gold advantage for J-Team at 25 minutes on the board. Frank trying to wrestle control back of the Baron pit, but it is J-Team that have priority.
Yeah, and the thing is, they can't do much right now because of the fact that YSKM is shoving out that bottom wave. So he has teleport, yes, but you don't want to overforce the issue where you take a fight and then your top laner or your solo laner down in the bot lane has to teleport in when there's so many minions crashing into that bottom tower. So this is more of a min-max play coming in from Frank Esports. And at the very least, we are seeing YSKM really push the limits, which is what we didn't get to see from Kurt. So that is one small positive. And the other thing is, of course, J-Team not that far up when it comes to gold. It is still only a 2,500 gold lead, which at 25 or 26 minutes into the game is not all that much.
No, and Frank have the Dragon Stack as well. I mean, yeah, it was cut down a bit by J-Team taking away the Hex Tech, but, you know, as this game goes, we talked about scaling in the top half of the map. That is going to be pretty favorable for Frank, and Lil V is going to have to do so much heavy lifting. But here's the thing, though, like, Kong has found a couple of resets. Like, this is what he does. So the Viego is also going to be a problem. I kind of feel like we could be in for a very explosive final fight.
Yeah, definitely should be. And maybe the thing is, maybe it doesn't even come in that next dragon because there is no soul being threatened at that point, right? So there's potential for J-Team to just say, we like our hyper carry more. We think that Phileas is just going to outperform the Kalista, and as long as we keep the Jax off of them, we're fine. Maybe that's the approach that they're going to take. Especially after, well, actually after the IE, maybe you think differently. So IE now completed onto Aphelios, but
yeah, that changes things.
There's no sustain. There is no sustain on this champion.
Yeah, that is a little bit of worry, but Lilby has done a really good job of positioning. I think traditionally has been very, very good at that. So worth keeping in mind that they are trusting to their AD carry's position. J-Team having the inside track here. This is going to be
starting it out.
The start of the Baron. Let's see if they're able to full commit to this one. No, it's a back away.
Yeah, but now there's only 15 seconds until the dragon. So if they don't try and force some sort of Baron for dragon trade, they will just lose out onto the dragon, and they are getting forced off of this. That I think that YSKM's just going to go ahead, secure it. He still has teleport, so he can just TP into this still.
Yeah, there's the opportunity with the dragon being taken away, even if the Jax isn't as big.
Oh, Uniboy coming in on flank. He's spotted.
And so that is a really big ultimate coming out of the Renata Glass. And now Eminem going to try to reposition.
No reset yet.
By a little bit of time on that one as they throw Reapers in. Everyone's opting stopwatches.
YSKM wants
time, but it's YSKM that's coming up with it as he zones Lil V away. Damage report, though. Frank Esports have not lost anybody just yet. And J-Team, no top, no support, and wouldn't you know it, even though Kongye takes out Rebirth, I think he is not long for the Rift as he runs smack dab into YSKM. It's Baron time for Frank.
Let's go, Pyra! Now they're going to turn for the Baron.
Go.
And for the side of J-Team, they still have 2 members up. It is the 2 big carries, but Lil V has to do so much. He has to get a huge ultimate.
He really does
He
not
whipped.
find what he was looking for, and Uniboy gets shut down. YSKM just barely stays alive as well. Frank Esports are doing it.
Oh my god. This would be the biggest win for Frank Esports. Yes, they found, I believe they found an upset against DCG in the spring split, but I mean, let's be real here. As many upsets as they would find, we still weren't going to put them as a top 4 contender, but this would definitely change things. This definitely changes things here as we get to see how it plays out. Driver on the side, zoned out by Pretender. So even though Uniboy gets a great flank, gets into the fight, locks down Eminem, Driver isn't able to actually follow up. And
Eminem
then
repositions on the Kalista so well.
like teleport comes in, YSKM, Lil V, very, very far from the fight. I would assume that Hollow probably bopped him out with that ultimate, but that's like 90% of your damage gone. So you can't get resets without that Aphelios helping out, because the Silas just doesn't have that punch to get people low enough. And I mean, it's a nice play from Konya to get what he could, but ultimately it results in him dying and the Baron going over to Frank Eastwood.
Yeah, it just results in a higher bounty for YSKM to collect. And well, we're right back into it. Everybody looking at each other just yet. No fight over Dragon, as it's still going to be 2.5 minutes away. 30 minutes on the clock. This game could really end at any time if J-Team take a false step and look at YSKM.
Bot lane.
Yeah. Oh boy. I wanted to be like, okay, are we going to have a breather in this game? But no, it's kind of just like the tempo is just cranked. And look at that. YSKM on level 17, 2 ahead of anybody else on J-Team.
He's just so far ahead in EXP, and the issue is he has level 3 ult. That makes him so very tanky. So when you see him jump onto a target like Lil V, he's got freaking Collector. He doesn't have Shred.
No.
How is he going to kill this Jax?
I mean, we just saw the Moonlight Vigil drop, and it tickled everybody.
Pretenders a
but
little
here's
bit.
the flank.
Oh,
that's going to be the hostile takeover. They do get a shutdown. That's pretty big gold. Can they turn it around, though, on the Frank Esports side? Here comes Uniboy. They've just got the full collapse. And Frank got caught snoozing.
Yeah. Pretender definitely overplayed his hand in that instance. Gets stuck in that choke point, and that's just free pickings for the Renata. So Enzo lands a beautiful ultimate hostile takeover, but part of that is the fact that they're kind of stuck in a poor position, and this could just end very similar to the PSG game, where they make one mistake and the game's over.
It's starting to look that way right now. There's still about 15 seconds until just about anybody comes back up. Rebirth will be a little bit faster, but this is going to be it. Frank, they tried, but they made one crucial mistake. Getting caught out. J-Team immediately turn. They cut him down to size. That's 32 minutes. J-Team going to take the victory.
Oh, man. They definitely made a